Welcome to JaleesCast. We're so happy to finally pilot this episode. We've been wanting this for years. And thanks to these amazing ladies, we have an amazing topic for you: the anxious generation and what is happening in today's world when it comes to children and adolescents. But before we dive into the topic, I would like each of us to introduce ourselves. I'm Rana Hajjar, founder of Al Jalees Culture Club since 2014.
I'm Amritha, and I've been a member since 2015 and um, a team member since 2023.
We've been doing this for 11 years.
Yeah, but in VR 2024. So, yes. Yeah.
Thank you for first being a member and then being a team member. And in Riyadh, Angelis has been extremely welcomed. And I'm just so grateful for that.
I'm the baby member. I joined. I was part of Angelis as like a guest who just wanted to come to the book club and experience the book club in before Ramadan of 2024. I mean, I just became integrated as part of the team, and I just went with the flow, and it happened so naturally. So that was fun.
We are so happy you joined us.
Yes, our passion for giving and content creation. And oh my God, 2 weeks we spent with the storytelling festival. Oh, everything we have been doing in the Riyadh has been really rewarding for us. And in 2026, we have amazing plans, whether in Riyadh or in Jeddah. And just a little bit about it before we delve into the topic. Anjali started as a book club, but we are now providing full cultural services for both individuals and companies, and with an incredible team of passionate readers who take this mission forward with all the events and activations we have done. The motivation is unstoppable. And I'm so glad that we took this chance and with this amazing topic to start with the podcast. We do conversations together all the time with the audience. Yeah, so we enjoy it, whether for planning or for the audience. And we've hosted more than 700 events in the past 11 years, not to mention all the corporate events as well. And we continue to provide that, whether in universities or in any companies that need us. Because why? Because we're
Creating a community, actually. I would say, even with my experience with Ajali's, was when I first moved in to Saudi. It was in Jeddah. I love Jeddah. And one of the things that I wanted was a community, because you suddenly move from your friends and family. And one of the things that I thought was, okay, let me see if there's a book club. And that's how the whole journey started. But it's not just a book club. It was never just a book club. Even when you started it, Zana, it was about a community. It was about, okay, initially it was women coming together, but then it moved on to men and children, and it so started a conversation of how to create a community, and that's where things grow. That's where things start to run and roll. So yes, it's been a journey, but it's been on the right track. And I think from the beginning, your vision was very clear. It was not just about a book club. It was not just about, a couple of friends getting together to read and discuss a book. It was much more than that. And I think it took time, but all these things do take time, right? It takes time. It takes patience. It takes that, okay, I'm not going to give up on my vision.
Yeah, and it takes believers. Yes, it is people who think that this is really impactful for the society. And we have seen the impact. And we have seen how this changes either children, our topic of the day, or adults, and how not us, it's not us only as Al Jalis, but it's the magic that happens when we meet on this, the best thing that the world has to offer: literature.
End of the day, we are humans. We are social creatures.
Yep.
We need that connection. with people. And when you have that based on something important or something concrete, it makes more sense. Yes, fun is part of it, but when you discuss things that matters, like what we're going to do today, it makes more sense, and there is more depth. And
It's good to be challenged. It's good for your ideals and your ideas and just whatever you think about to be challenged. And it's nice that Juris provides that in a comforting setting. It's a very safe zone where people can have opposing ideas but can discuss them freely.
sometimes you get so fixed and you're in your box, and when someone says something and it makes you think, pause and think. It's like, oh.
Before we began the club 11 years ago, I wasn't a really good speaker. And then I started to believe in myself. I started to speak better. I started to be a better listener. And then I noticed with years passing by and people coming in regularly, they also became patient listeners and good speakers. So that's one of the many things that help with the impact of having a culture club, a safe place where it's fun to learn. And I'm going to let you talk about why we picked the book, but first, The Anxious Generation. This is the book of the month of January, and I think you guys hosted the session last week along with Dr. Fadia Al Buhairan. So, this is why we're talking about this book today. It's because we had a book discussion on it last week and we wrote articles about it in the past couple of weeks. And today, we're going to give you the gist and what you need to know, but you still have to read it because it's a game changer of how you see the world through the adolescent mind and what happened to them in the past 20 years or
I'd say my age, 25 years.
Right. So the link is since the study when it comes to this book is since 2012. Uh, but this book is extremely relevant today, um, because as you see, in the book, he mentions about the statistics and the research, which shows the steep increase in anxiety, in stress, in depression, and self harm amongst adolescents, which is a big concern. As people and as parents and as educators, we did see that something was happening, there was something going on, but we couldn't really pinpoint or define. And that's where Haidt comes with this book, where he's actually showing us and making all sense of what is happening and why he thinks that it started with the smartphones and it started with the social media, and since 2012, and the first generation that got affected is Gen Z. So why and what of it? And one of the reasons why we can actually go by what he's saying, because he's not just a journalist or against tech or things. He's actually a social psychologist. And his writings and his work, even the previous works, are all based on research and data. So it's not just okay. One fine day he decided that tech is bad. No, it's based on research. And one of the good things that I found about the book, yes, it's a bit. It does give you a bit of anxiety as a parent, with teenage kids. But one of the thing is that he does bring out and show us a solution. How quickly we act on it would help the younger generation, right? So, so that's one of the reasons why you should read it. And who should read it? I would say the parents. Yes, because you want to know what is happening to your children. The educators, schools, you need to know, yes, you're bringing smart Google Classrooms and everything into play, but what is the effect of it? It's not just that you're bringing phones into the place. In fact, actually, one of Haidt's interviews, he was saying that imagine 30 years ago, your school says, okay, from tomorrow you can bring your television, and you can bring your walkie-talkie, you can bring your Walkman, and keep it all spread on your table, and then start studying. That's exactly what's happening. And policymakers, government, and tech companies. I think it's for all adults. If you're concerned about the next generation, whoever is concerned should read this book.
I actually did an order. I placed an order for that, and I want to promote it here in Saudi because it's new. It was just launched in the States, and I think in other countries. But I'm reading it, and it's very important for our kids, for their generation to understand. And so I haven't attended the event last week, but I showed my kids who are 17 and 12 the slides that accompanied the book, accompanied the audiobook, and they were anxious. They were anxious when they saw the rate of mental health issues happening. And his evidence was all from the States and different countries in the West. Today, we are going to bring you some evidence of what is happening in the mental health world here in Saudi from the Ministry um, of Health. So, in your opinion, Lulwa, what do you think? Why do you think this book matters to the community?
It's huge. It's such an important book because I feel like as someone who's considered Gen Z, I'm 1997 for everyone. Like I was born in 1997, but I was raised in a millennial type way. Like I started like as a child, I don't remember always having a phone. I was raised having to watch CDs, video cassette tapes. You know, my movies were still in video cassette form. We had to wait for the TV show to be on to watch it. When we went out, I went out with friends and we played. But at some point, there was a shift, especially for me as a teenager when we started having smartphones and downloading social media and being on social media all the time. Because if you weren't, you were out of the loop. You didn't know what's happening.
What age did you get your phone? And
My first phone was a Motorola flip phone. It was ridiculous, but it did the job of me having to like call my parents in case of emergency, or my parents were able to contact me. That was the purpose of a phone. But at some point, that kind of changed into, oh, I need a smartphone, just like my friends have. So it's very tough. Like peer pressure, we don't think of it as something as this huge sack of weight that you have on until you live through it. And that was, I think, the hardest part. And being on social media, you don't realize how deteriorating it is to your mental health until at some point I personally had to put a stop to it and realize that this is not okay. What I'm doing, something is going on with me, with my personality, with the way I think, until I had to put a stop to it and really like reassess everything I did.
which is good because that comes from self-awareness. Yes, the problem is not everyone has that self-awareness, especially children, because like Dr. Fadia explained to us during the event that the brain development, the prefrontal cortex, the development does not happen or is not complete till about 24, 25. And that's the time when you are so addicted to phone.
Do we have a main question for the audience today that we want you to take home with you? Think about it. Think about the answer. Discuss it with your family and your friends, and maybe speak to us and comment whether you're seeing this video or in any platform. Are we facing a global crisis of childhood, or are we misreading the change? And again, I'll show you the book, The Anxious Generation, How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness. That is what Dr. Jonathan Haidt is sharing with us.
It's funny how we called it the Great Rewiring because we were kind of wired in a way where every generation before Gen Z, or generally anything before the 90s, were raised in a type of way that hasn't changed at all. The parents, the house rule, the community, schools, they were all set in stone in in their ways until like the rise of the internet and smartphones and just modern gadgets, in turn leading to the rise of social media became. And that's when it's a completely new sort of wiring. It's such a weird way of putting it, but he called it the great rewiring. I really like that he used this word because now we have to rewire ourselves into how we think we should raise the next generations.
Because what actually happened after 10 when this began. Um, and we got this from the Ministry of Health. 40% of youth have mental health disorders. All these are in Saudi. So in the book, Jonathan Haidt mentioned a lot of graphs that some of them I've showed to my kids that really scared them, and most of them are in the West. So we decided today that we want to show you about where we live. So 40% mental health disorders, and then 27 have anxiety disorder. 27%, 80% of those who have anxiety do not seek treatment, which needs more awareness. And then that is something really sad, but I feel like it might be really true. 1 to 3 adolescents experience depressive symptoms like social anxiety or social isolation, which correlates a lot with what we have read from this book.
Yeah, because in the book he does mention that yes, the study was basically done in the US, but he also shows the links that's happening in the UK, in Europe, and in other parts of the country. Not necessarily the Middle East, but he was talking about the other parts of the world. So sometimes you also think, oh, it's probably just to do with US, what's happening there, or that's probably giving anxiety to the children, because you need to have a debate. It's not like, okay, somebody's saying this and you believe, but as you start to debate and you start to see that, okay, it's happening, if you're looking at school shootings and things like that, so that could give anxiety to the children. But what is happening in the UK? There's no shooting, but the children are still depressed, they're still anxious about what's going to happen. And it's happening everywhere, and this has started since 2010, 2012. So the link between the rise in depression and the smartphones and the social media and the influence of this, it correlates, it makes sense,
Because it shifted. It shifted. It used to be play-based childhood.
Yeah.
And then it became phone-based childhood. Just thinking about the word phone-based, it's so sad.
It is. It's so terrible because you see it. We used to not pay attention to it, but now we see it. Because it's so common, I feel like no one really thinks of it. We kind of, you've seen these memes, you've seen these posts where people are like, oh, I go to a public space and everyone is on their phone. But you're talking about adults. Here we're talking about kids also being on their phones. So you have kids, you're taking your kids to the playground, you're taking them to the movies, and you're taking them to do several activities and they're still not satisfied. While they're there, they want to use their phone. While they're with friends, they want to be on their phone. After you take them out to a movie, they come back and, oh, I wanna be on my phone for a bit, or I wanna play a video game, like keys. And you have to be like, but you already did an activity. Is that not enough? I know, it's never enough.
Yeah. And the thing is, we're not here to judge the parents who want to take a break and, let's say, cook with peace and take your iPad for 30 minutes and let me just, focus on what I'm doing. We're not judging those. We are parents, right? And we know that it's tough. We know that we also need to understand the change. But we are here to put awareness on what could happen to those kids. Look at the picture on this cover. She looks really sad, but she looks like she's stuck and she can't really get out of the screen. And sometimes it happens to us. So we're here to give awareness and hopefully give solutions, because we have some of the solutions offered by Dr. Jonathan Haidt. And if we collaborate, we can actually stop this from going further.
Yeah, one of the things that I do want to add here is that, when you think of, okay, the parents, the children, how they're playing the phone base, as you mentioned. um, One thing that we need to remember is that as parents, this is also a first time where you have your children with devices. You have the devices. This is the first generation that's going through this shift, right? So as parents, we didn't know the damage that it can cause and it has caused. And at the time when it began, we were not aware that I would say that the entire world was not prepared for the damage it was going to cause. So we are all in it together. We are all experiencing it firsthand. And yes, Gen Z is the one to be affected because they've been through puberty with this device and social media and everything. So, but yes, damage is done. There's a generation that got affected. Now, what do we do? Now that so the first thing I feel that needs to be done is parents need to become aware of it. So like I said in the beginning, we all knew that something is not right, something is not making sense, and we all could be aware of it, right? So for me, with my kids at 13, I gave my daughter her phone. And my son is going to turn 13 next year. I am not giving him the phone, but I am probably a bad parent as far as he is concerned because all his friends have it. But in some way, we've been having this conversation at home. But now, after reading this book, I am like, it will be a struggle. I know it's going to be a fight. Why? Because the entire world is doing otherwise. My son came to me and said, "Oh, my friend who's 10 has got a phone, and his 4-year-old brother has got a phone." And I'm like, and? And he's like, "No, I'm just trying." So I was like, "Yeah, but it didn't work. Not today." Yes, they will try, but who's the adult here, right? I know it's an uphill battle for me with my kids, especially because everyone around has it, and that's another thing he mentions. As a community, we need to come together, and the phone based, like you said, in the playground. Kids have forgotten how to be social. They've forgotten those soft skills. And But for me, I think I'm going to jump, but I think the adults are responsible for this. Children are not the ones responsible for this. Yes, we were not aware of it.
Yeah, it's not about controlling the kids either, no? It's not about forbidding them or cutting their wings or saying, You don't get to do this, you get to do what I say." It's about getting them to help you. And it's about explaining the problem to them because they want to be okay. They want to have freedom in their lives. They want to feel healthy.
Absolutely. So if they're aware of it, you're absolutely right, Rana, because again, in his interview, he was saying that kids, it's not that kids are not aware of it. It's not that adolescents are not aware of it. They're well aware of it, but they are trapped. They feel trapped. They have no choice. We have to give them that choice. We have to facilitate that choice. And and as adults in the society right now, we have to take. I know this is a bit of a passion.
Really, really needed you on board today because Amritha is so passionate about this topic. And he call it brain rot. See, the thing is, I watched a video. Dr. Jonathan Haidt keeps coming to my social media now because I'm thinking about the book. And he was saying in an interview that it's really not about the content. Oh, so what if they're watching good content if it's not extreme or harmful? It's about the time. It's about the addiction. It's about not being exposed to so many other options.
It's not that the tech is bad.
No?
Yeah. So I have to, if you allow me, there is this one bit which was absolute wow to me. Not that we're not aware of it, but so he says in the book, when platforms offer access to information or services for free, it's usually because the users are the product. Our time is a product. Their attention is a precious substance that companies extract and sell to their paying customers, the advertisers. So we don't even realize that we are being used. It's our time that is their product and that's being sold. We think, oh, we are watching these things. No, and it all started with the right intentions. If you look at YouTube, you can learn so much from it. I mean, of course, now you need to learn which is just good and which is bad, which is again a trouble. But it's not that tech is bad. Anything for that matter, an excess use of anything is actually.
Everything has a good and bad side. It's just that, like you said, they started off with the good intention, with the right, not right intention. It was just like, it was a tool of bringing people together. Like, it was, like, I remember the start of Facebook, everyone was excited to have it because we had access to talking to friends we haven't seen in a long time, to family members who were far away. people who just we never used to contact, or if we did, it would be a burden because I have to pay so much for one phone call, or I have to like send a letter, and it was just a hassle. Now it was easy, but then I'm guessing that these companies saw how many users there were. Advertisers thought it was all free space to use, and they're like, okay, let's slowly inject it until it became
This is the mission now.
yeah, it's the mission now, and it's so
Capture everybody's attention.
and never let go. Like now the algorithms are built in a way, like I still remember when I first downloaded Instagram, there was an end to the feed. Do you remember this? I remember this.
Yeah.
Like there was a you scrolled, you like them now, so does halas. It doesn't like refresh anymore.
Yeah.
Now there's no end. You just keep on going and keep on going.
When it's 2 hours past,
I downloaded TikTok one time for 1 week, and I deleted it because I saw that on my statistics on my phone, I was on my phone for 6 hours straight in one sitting. So I just
Because you start with it 5 minutes, it's never 5 minutes.
it's never.
Yeah, even for us, it's never 5 minutes. And how can you play kids?
that's we have self control.
We start with ourselves. So this is a similar question. Some people come to me and they say, "How do I get my kids to start reading?" I tell them, "Do you read?" And he's like, "No." Then how could you
Yeah.
possibly get them to read? So I have something to share about that. I have an almost 3-year-old. He turns 3 in Thursday. So I have actually a lot of self-control when it comes to social media, and this is a public apology to my friends when I don't see your stories. You always say you don't see my stories. Well, because I want to read, and if I go on social media, I will not read, and this is what I want to do. So when I'm using the phone, and Abdul Malik, the 3-year-old, is in the room, he comes to me and he's like, "Mama, are you done? Mama, halas phone." It hurts him. And I don't spend more than 5 minutes on the phone when he's present because I'm an entrepreneur. Sometimes things come up. You have to answer, you have to send, you have to do whatever. And I say, "I'm sorry, I'm doing this." And I come and I show him because now I'm aware that this will affect him. He will feel neglected. Guys, your kids, when you're on the phone, they will feel left out. And you do this all the time, every single day, without thinking that, okay, I'm holding my phone, I'm just relaxing, he's on the TV, everybody in the house is doing something different, and you're not connecting. These are lost moments. It will not harm you. If you put it away, you will not lose any important information. The news will still be there. Anyway, don't listen to the news. It's depressing. Your friends are not there with you physically. When you see them, you see them. But when you're with your kids, when you're with your siblings, with your friends, forget about the digital world. It's not going anywhere. It's on demand. You have it. All right. So now just put it away.
It's not that it's bad, but just get off it at sometimes. Whenever we are trying to get to people and connect, and even for our events, we use Instagram. We need these things. So tech is not bad, but who is using it? How much time are you spending on it? Those things matter. And you keep telling, oh, your children are not listening to you. Yes, they're not listening to you, but they're watching you. Your actions matter. So you say one thing and you're doing something else. It doesn't match. And kids learn from your actions. They watch you. Like if you said, are you done?
Are you done? Last phone. It's really painful. And these are moments that you can't take back, but you can hold your phone anytime. I mean, if you're not driving, use it on the way. It's just, a short time. Have a time limit. So when I presented the content of the graphs for my kids, they were both really anxious, and then they started on their own, started downloading these apps. They actually made me pay for it. And then Amin was telling me, she's 17, she was telling me that she had to work to open Instagram. So she had to do like push-ups or to open Instagram. These solutions are there. All you need is self-control and to be determined to your goal. Because honestly, guys, life is really short. How do you want to live it?
And for children and for us, there's only one childhood. So whether you as parents, you want to spend more time with your children, or for children to spend time in their childhood doing what they should be doing. Yeah, these days children don't have time to get bored.
Yeah.
And that's what addiction does to you, right? You're so cooked to it, you cannot use your brain to snap out of it. That's what, and these days you find 4-year-old, 3-year-olds addicted to device, and you take the device away, you see the tantrums, you see that they reuse it. I remember you mentioning in the event that you realized that you were getting irritated.
When I made the decision to stop, it was specifically Instagram. That was because I was at a point in my life where I felt like I was in a like this limbo. Like I wasn't moving forward with my life, but I'm not going back. I was just like in this middle, and being on Instagram just kind of, even though I know it's fake, I know everyone posts their best moments on Instagram, but it's still it eats at you slowly, and you don't notice it until you become kind of this depressed person who every time I open it, I just become more depressed. Like I see my friends going to university, I see them going out, I see them having these great experiences, and I'm sitting in this limbo, and I just lost it. I was depressed all the time. And my mom came to me and she's like, you're always irritated. You're always angry. You always lash out. What is it? You're not like this. And I'm like, I didn't see the difference because it happens it happens slowly, but the effect stays with you. So when I stopped using Instagram, it was like a full maybe 3, 4 years until after I went to university and after I became like more stable as a person mentally, that I was able to, you know what, maybe let me just go back to it. And even then, I'd sometimes notice periods when I would get depressed and I'm like, Haas, okay, let's close it, sign out. And then a little bit later, I'd sign back in. So it hooks you to it that you don't stop. Like I'm sad, but I still watch, and I'm sad, and I still see.
They're benefiting tremendously from our inability to stop this addiction. But we are here today to tell you that you can. You simply can. You can simply prioritize. There's so many things that you dreamed about doing when you were a kid before you were exposed to. In our generation, I mean, we were very active. We barely had screens. I'm an 80s kid, and we were so creative, especially with AI. It's really killing our creativity and our ability to think for ourselves. So this has to stop, and it can stop.
One of the things is that when it comes to creativity, what people are trying to do is, okay, what do I create and what can I post? Oh, this one I can't post, so I'm not going to do it anymore. So you've stopped doing it for yourself. You started to do it to show, and then you're constantly looking at the likes and the comments, and oh my God, this person said this. No, I'm not going to draw anymore. I'm not going to dance anymore. I'm not going to sing.
And he mentions that.
Yeah, yeah, it is very, very sad.
And it affects girls more than boys. I was shocked. I mean, I have a girl and I have two boys, and I'm shocked that it affects girls with anxiety, depression, and self harm more than boys because they internalize and they compare, uh, even if they're strong wind.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Always this thing, whether it's the body, whether it's the face, whether it's the actions, the lifestyle, the product that they buy. There's always one thing that every girl has that she feels affected by, or it's like this space that's waiting to be filled, and it never gets filled. This bottomless pit. It is filled.
Actually, that is part of puberty. That is part of growing up. You are always very conscious. Even when we were growing up, we were always very conscious. Oh, Arif, that's not right. That's not right. But the focus on yourself and the focus of on others was limited.
Your world was small.
Yes, it's your classmates, and it's but now the entire world is in front of you, and you're constantly comparing yourself.
Your self worth is really at risk here, and you're always using your screen.
Yeah. Even as adults, like you mentioned, you look at somebody else who's going, oh, look at her house, look at, they've traveled to these many places. What am I doing here? No, it's very easy. Like comparison, like they say, comparison is the thief of joy. That's what is happening.
And his issue in that interview also was the fact that kids are exposed to anonymous people. You've always been telling your kids back in the day, it was very to strangers. Well, strangers are their community now, and they truly believe that they're friends with these guys. Something funny I heard Matt Damon, the actor, saying that Netflix movies are considering repeating the plot 3 to 4 times.
Most people are on their phone while they're watching it. So they have made lack of better word, dumber and dumber, these scenes and everything, and it's spelled out so that even if you miss and you go back to the screen, you have not missed anything because it's that basic,
Mm.
which is sad.
It's so sad. It's unbearable because, you know, with the release of Stranger Things season 5, I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen everything. My sister has watched it, and she's like, the most terrible season. Like, I was a horror. And I'm like, why? I mean, isn't it like, wasn't it so hyped up? Wasn't it like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm excited to see it. I still haven't seen it. And she's like, no, it's so dumb. And the episode is so long, and all they do is talk. They talk and they talk and they explain. I don't know. What do they explain? Just show. Like, show, don't tell. It's the most basic thing in anything regarding writing. So what are they talking about? She's like, they just talk all the time. And it's stuff we already know, like as an audience. It's plot points that we already know, but they're just repeating it because, like you said, they're making it they're dumbing it down. Yeah. So people who are on their phone will know what's happening even though they're not watching the rest.
And just remember that these guys don't care about your well being. The target is to make it bigger and more successful and to have you hooked and to have your life all wired in there. No one cares about your well being.
Yeah. I want to go back to the point of strangers and stranger danger that we used to talk about. One of the things that he mentions is that overprotection that we do for children, and what it has, the impact that it's got on today's children and the minors. So yes, as parents, we are so concerned. Yes, there are bad things happening. We're so concerned about letting our children go out in the open, but we are not concerned about, you know, reading very awkward in the virtual world and the kind of world we are exposing them to. Strangers are talking to them. Why are these strangers talking to them? We know exactly why they're talking to your children. Why are they targeting the children? Then they watch violence in social media. And these are all things that are affecting them, but we don't send them out. We don't give them that little joy of feeling independent and doing something. So he was saying that today's children, when we look back to our childhood and when we think, oh, what's your memories? It's always to do with something outdoor. Today's children, they don't have that. And we are responsible for it. We adults are responsible. I know I keep going back to it, but I really truly feel that we are responsible. Like it works, yeah. Even as parents. So one of the things he constantly says is like, give them that independence, let them go, stop helicoptering them so much. The play dates that the parents arrange and they're always there. Leave the children alone, let them be without adults, let them take those decisions. Yes, you need to be aware of your surroundings and where you're sending them, but let them be in the playground without you. Let them fall, let them feel it, let them know how to handle each other. So you have fights. And remember the role plays we used to do, the playhouse and everything.
Children don't do much, or you don't do that, and they become weaker. There was this, I highlighted the entire page where he talks about this and he compares it to trees. Like it was such a great like metaphor. I think like a tree can the reason a tree can grow to be very strong and like independent is because its roots become strong, and because the reason why the roots become strong is that the tree gets exposed to the world around it, to the wind, to the dust, to the sunlight, to rain, to storms, to everything. And it builds resistance to all of these elements so that its roots become strong, its bark becomes strong, it grows, and it becomes like this strong being that knows how to hold its own. And he compares that to children. He's like, if you let a tree grow in a greenhouse, and you expose it to all the perfect elements that you want, you water it just enough, you give it just enough care, just enough comfort, and it will grow. But at some point it would just break because it's just not strong enough, it hasn't been exposed to elements. And that's the same with kids. You need to expose them to social situations, you need to expose them to little bits of independence, like you said, and challenges, and rest to be able to work it out by themselves. Yeah. You can guide them, you can be their guide as a parent, but they have to go through this experience by themselves. And they can ask you, like, do you think I did well? Do you think I reacted the right way? What can I do to be better? Yeah.
But and they make mistakes and then learn from it. So you have to give them the opportunity, Wes.
Otherwise, how will they become like strong-willed, independent adults who can hold their own in this world.
It's part of our culture, and I think that it's improving a little bit. But growing up in the 90s, I saw a lot of lecturing, a lot of criticism from parents, a lot of controlling, and that's not what the kids today need. So please don't lecture, please don't criticize, please don't tell them that they're wrong. Instead, be a partner with them in this process. You learn so much from them when you listen to what they need and then try to solve the solution together because they have a perspective.
They do.
And as one of the sad things that I've read in this book is not only they're on their screen all the time and talking to strangers, they stopped having play dates together. So they don't need
The whole idea of the phone and the Facebook was connections and making and it's all actually lost. You think you are, no, you're not. Even you these days kids when they come over for play dates, they're all on their devices. They're sitting next to each other, but they're all on their device.
play in the same world virtually.
Yeah, it's a strange place. You have 4 5 boys in the house. Usually if you have 4 5 kids in the house, it's a chaos.
Yeah.
You just, as a mother, you want them out, just go to the play, don't be inside the house. Now if you have 4 5 of them, you don't even hear the sound. Yeah, and it's quite
Explaining to them that this is bad for them. But also, I don't know, maybe I'm trying my best, but as a mom, I don't forbid my kids. I sit with them and I explain, I level with them, and I tell them this is doing this to you. I get that you like it, so let's do it, but just a little bit. Have self control. I want you to put the limit.
the timers and things.
Yeah, I mean, my son is 12, so um, I trust that he is doing the right thing now. He learned so much from YouTube. YouTube is actually better than the other channels. Yeah, it is.
Because the algorithm, it's just it's you have to probably put in the
It's very tricky. The thing is with YouTube also, it matters who's watching. So as an adult, we can pick and choose the kind of content that we want to see, but kids don't have that. They kind of go either with the autoplay, and it gets like I've seen situations where the videos they're exposed to become more and more violent, more and more plus ATA, and they wouldn't know because they're kids. So it's the algorithms, and all social media platforms have this.
Yes. And so you can easily fix that. So yesterday I was getting videos I didn't like on Instagram, and I looking a lot on what's happening in the community from Instagram. It's benefiting me as an entrepreneur. And then I finally found this page where you remove and add the keywords that you want or you don't want. Because I don't want to keep seeing videos of hair just because I once looked up how to do it with curly hair. Or I don't want to see anything about politics or news or whatever. I want to keep seeing cultural content. So we can actually sit with them and tell them, I'm not going to take this from you, but I need you to use it right. Time limit and good content, and understand that in order to have it, that's that's like a gift, right? And something that's valuable. It's something that you uh, I can take away from you if you don't use it in the right way. It's really, really easy, but at the same time, it needs you to commit to it.
Yeah.
And also the short reels are a bit of a problem. If you're watching a full video, like a 5 minute, 10 minute video is always better than the short, because that one, after a point, it's a dopamine hit, right? Hit after hit after hit. It is the damage that it does is
For
huge.
sure. Yeah, and it affects your attention span. Like you said, it's not just you can't just watch a movie or sit and read a book without feeling like like jittery. I want to do something else. I need to think faster. That's the thing with like having to learn to quit it. It's very tough. Like even now, I work in social media, which is horrible for me because I'm really trying to stop. And you're constantly exposed to things, and sometimes you just have to see it. Like you said, you need to be in the loop of what's going on so you can know where to head. For your business, I have to be in the loop so I can know how to handle my clients and what trends are happening. And it's really tough to take yourself out of it. Like sometimes when I want to sit and read a book, even for like our book club, I have to like really like sit and focus and read. And sometimes I have to reread a page like once, twice, just so I can really like start getting into the headspace of focusing on reading and being like having the dopamine hit a little later, which is what's normal. Yep. You're supposed to have it in small or short bursts, not instantly. And instantly, if you get so used to it, it won't hit the same. That's the same. It's the same with drugs. The first hit is so powerful, it takes you out of it. And then the lower you can use it, the more you need. Yes. And that's the same with social media. It's that addictive.
So a few of the main things that we discussed last week was that the adolescent brains are still developing.
Another important thing that she mentioned was along with that is that mental health issues begin before the age of 14. So even if it comes much later in life or you feel you have it, you would have had it or the symptoms would have started before 14. And that's the time when you're exposing them to these kind of self damning and the doubts and everything.
And not only that, it also leads to sleep deprivation because they're always connected and they don't want to lose anything important. And I believe that our attendants that had a dialogue with Dr. Fadia last week were multi-generational. Usually in the LGBTs, we get people from different age group and different backgrounds. So we had a really diverse conversation either with expats or English-speaking Arabs. Some of them were children as well. And that's what I noticed. Gen Zs and even younger educators, parents, and even professionals who came. And the discussion was mostly about how we can limit screen time, but without taking their sense of connection with their friends, because that's a real problem. Some of them don't want to be the only one.
The one that's left out.
But if he or she understands that the problem is not social media, the problem is the behavior around it, they won't feel very defensive towards it.
That's why in the book he mentions that, ideal age for social media, he thinks it should be much later. Yeah. For him, 18 plus would have made more sense, but he says at least 16. There should be that ban that under 16 should not use social media. In many sense, I think it is true. It makes sense to them because children can play and to make sure that the kids are not feeling left out, it has to be a group. It has to be society, the whole country or the world needs to come together with this. And I feel it will start with awareness amongst parents. Because most parents, even today, even for us, we feel, okay, let's limit them to a bit of time. Why? Because we want them to be in touch with their friends. But if we remove this, they will figure out. Things will evolve on its own. And yes, these are important. Another problem is tech in school. Yeah, that needs to reduce. What happened to paper and pen? They don't do so. My son came back the other day, and I looked at his maths notebook, and there was, I think the workings was of many days ago before that, and I said, you don't have maths class? What is happening? He said, yeah, we have it, and we have a test, and we are preparing for it, and we are practicing. I said, okay, but where is it in your notebook? And he said, no, we are doing it on the system. And I'm like, you're doing maths on the system? What do you mean? And because I am from a generation where they are made to write steps or to steps at all everything. Because paper pen, it makes a lot of difference. You tend to remember more. But now it's easy for the school, it's easy for the world. And I think that is another big drawback because I think the memory, one, attention span is short, and then the memory is affected because and what do the children feel eventually? That they don't smart enough. Oh, I can't remember anything. No. It's the system that's not helping you remember.
It's making you have fragmented memory. One of the books we're discussing this year is actually highlighting on this is Scattered Minds by Gabor Mate. I'm very excited to have another deeper conversation when it comes to attention for everybody, not only children. So I think our advice here is to use technology to create, not to consume. So create what? Create connections. Create, this is how you guys found us.
Because previously, you'll have to go to a library or you have to find somebody who can explain certain things to you. Today, sitting at home, you can even get the experts from any part of the world, which is amazing. Yeah, there's so much you can learn. But along with that, there's so much happening, right?
But it's never too late to fix it, even with AI. I mean, if you search this phrase that I come across a few weeks ago, it's never too late to go back. This is not going to be the end. This is not going to be downhill from here. There is a way for humanity to take back control. So today's final reflection is, it's not about banning the screen. It's about protecting childhood. And it starts with balance, boundaries, and real human connection. I believe that we did create human connection with El Jalees. We celebrate, and I notice if anyone picks up the phone during the session, it rarely happens. When it happens for a very short time. It means people are not bored. There's so much that we can do live, and it's okay if kids are bored, guys. It's okay if they're bored. Let them think, let them create, let them write, let them record themselves dancing. These are things that we lived in the 90s. And the beautiful thing about Gen Z is that they're very aware. I think they're too aware because of how they were exposed. Something I've seen on social media is that in the West, not as many Gen Zs are drinking or partying even.
Which was not the case before, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and I heard that Las Vegas is failing because Gen Zs are not going. So there is a lot going on in their minds, and they're so aware, they're so smart. All we need to do is be there for them.
It reminds me, for centuries, for forever, every generation is, complains about the one that follows them. It's like, they would always complain and then grumpy about the fact that, oh, they're lazy, oh, they're spoiled, or they have lack of responsibility. I mean, every generation, I'm sure, growing up, I've heard my parents and elders at the time saying that, oh my god, these kids have everything. We used to walk miles to school, and look at them, they're so spoiled. And it will continue. Why? Because that's how things work. Another beautiful thing that came from the book is that he says it's not that today's children are fragile, it's just that they're living in a very different world. So like you said, Rana, they are very, very aware, and it is a beautiful thing. We can pick on that, and then we can, we can move forward.
We need to direct them. Awareness to direct the ones who are not aware as much.
But we have to be aware first. We can't be disconnected from what's happening. We need to actually understand and use it to see what they're being exposed to.
We need to set the standard for them to mirror us as well. Like, it's not just between a parent and their child, it's what they see around them. So when they see that there's communities around them with their interests, like whether it's a book club, whether it's sports, whether it's anything that they're interested in, let them have this space, let them have the third space. Which a few weeks ago, or like several months ago, I was reading this article about the disappearance of third spaces, which was the basis of community. It's where you found people who were like-minded for you to interact with. And now I feel like we do need to bring this back. Like, my third space is a Jalees book club. It's where I have a community that's different from my regular friends and family. It's where I'm exposed to new things, exposed to new people. So this,
I so always tell my tuber that it's my me time. But are you going? Yeah, I'm going for my me time whenever I to come to Al Jalil's before. Yeah. So yes, that's absolutely.
I love that this is not dying, especially in here in Riyadh, and even in Jeddah, the activities that are happening and encouraged by the Ministry of Culture is so fascinating. More creators, more hobbyists, I would say, would come and bring communities, big or small, with any interest whatsoever to get people together. And that's what I believe is the value that we're giving to the community is connection, creativity. And why we're here today is these three values, these three main targets is to have a space where we itch your minds with curious content. And this has been extremely, extremely delightful. Well, the next one is going to be really exciting, but I'm not going to reveal it. But I would like to close with a request. If you have any suggestions for us, something that you would like us to discuss, the sky's the limit when it comes to books, culture, ideas, and anything that helps us become better humans. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.